All right, so today we're diving into something I think we've all struggled with at some point.
Oh, yeah,
Speaking off the cuff,
definitely.
you know, just put on the spot. Got to come up with something brilliant and insightful right now.
The pressure is on.
Exactly. And we're looking at this YouTube video by Dr. Vivek Modi. It's gotten millions of views.
Wow,
So clearly he's hit a nerve with this.
clearly.
And he's a professional speaker
Okay.
and a doctor and a wellness educator.
So he probably knows a thing or two about communication.
You would think, right?
Yeah.
So the guy's got to be good at getting his point across.
Right off the bat, in this video, though, something caught my eye.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
Dr. Modi claims he's sharing a technique that he usually reserves for, like, his paid courses.
Interesting.
So it's like we're getting some exclusive access here.
Yeah, I feel like you're in the inner circle.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
It's called the PPIT technique.
BBI.
PPIT technique. And he frames it as, like, this total game changer.
For those moments when you're put on the spot, you're expected to speak
Yeah.
with zero prep time.
Nightmare.
I don't know about you, but that's my public speaking nightmare.
So that's everyone's public speaking nightmare.
Right.
Speaking with no preparation.
Okay, so break it down for us.
What does PPIT even stand for?
PPIT stands for people.
People, okay.
Place, issue,
Yes, it.
and time.
Time. All right, so people, place, issue, time.
And honestly, when I first heard it, I was like, okay, that's pretty basic.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
come on.
A little too simple.
But he really makes this compelling case that using this as like a framework
Okay.
can make your impromptu speaking sound way more organized.
I mean, I can see how that structure would be helpful,
Yeah,
but couldn't it also come across as a bit formulaic?
that's a good point.
Like you're just ticking boxes instead of like genuinely connecting with your audience?
I think the way he explains it, though, it's more about having that mental roadmap so you don't freeze up. So he starts with people
Yeah.
and really emphasizes acknowledging those present.
Right.
And he even gives this great example. Like if you're at a school event and the principal is there,
Okay.
you might say, like, before I begin, let me congratulate the principal and the entire staff.
It's simple but effective.
It's so simple.
Yeah.
But it instantly creates that rapport.
You know what's fascinating about that? It plays on this like fundamental human need to feel seen,
Oh, yeah.
acknowledged, like by directly addressing those individuals or the group,
Yeah,
you're establishing that connection
totally.
and showing that you're present and engaged with them.
Okay, so then he moves on to place, which I thought was interesting.
Okay. Place. How does that work?
So, like, he suggests saying something like, whenever I come to this campus, I feel like I'm coming home.
Okay.
It's about highlighting something positive about the location or the organization.
I think instead of just seeing that as a compliment,
Yeah.
it's actually a very clever way to create a shared experience with the audience. By focusing on something positive about the shared environment, you're establishing common ground.
Oh, that's good.
You're subtly aligning yourself with their values and beliefs.
I like that.
Yeah.
And then there's issue.
Issue.
And when I first saw that, I was like, okay, how do you have an issue
Yeah.
if you don't even know what you're supposed to talk about?
Right, exactly.
But he very cleverly adapts this
Okay.
to praise the event itself or connect it to something relevant to the audience's interests.
So he's almost like turning the lack of a specific topic into an advantage.
Yes.
By finding a way to tie his remarks to the broader context.
Yes.
He's demonstrating that he's not just giving a canned speech, but actually engaging with the situation.
He's in the moment.
He's present.
He's present.
Yeah.
And then finally there's time,
Time. Okay, this should be good.
which I wasn't sure about at first either.
Right.
But he suggests weaving in past, present, and future
Okay.
to give your speech more depth. So, for instance, you might start with, I remember when I first visited this place 5 years ago, it was, or end with, I'm confident that the students here will achieve great things in the future.
I'm seeing a pattern here.
What's that?
It seems like each element of PPIT is not just about structure,
Yeah.
but about creating these subtle psychological connections with the audience.
Oh, interesting.
By invoking a sense of shared history, acknowledging the present moment,
Oh, yeah.
expressing optimism for the future, you're essentially taking them on a mini journey with you.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
And you know what else really struck me?
What's that?
He's really adamant about people using the language that they're most comfortable with,
Oh, interesting.
even if it's not English.
Hmm.
He says authenticity is key to really connecting with an audience.
I was a bit skeptical about that claim in the intro that this was like some super secret technique,
Yeah.
that he usually charges
Yes.
for. It seems like common sense. But this emphasis on authenticity, that's where the real value lies.
Yeah.
It's about trusting that your unique voice and perspective are valuable,
Totally.
regardless of the language you use.
I love that.
Yeah. I mean, it's so refreshing to hear someone encouraging people to embrace their native language.
Yeah.
Especially in a world where English often dominates, professional settings, public speaking.
Totally. Yeah. And it made me think about another point he made
Okay.
about grammar, which it's something that came up in the Q&A portion of his video. One viewer asked, you should know grammar rules.
Okay.
But for speaking well, just knowing grammar rules does not help.
Interesting point.
Yeah, and his response really surprised me.
What did he say?
He basically said that while knowing grammar rules is good,
Yeah.
it's not the be-all end-all of speaking well.
Okay.
He really emphasized the importance of learning grammatically correct sentences, and lots of them,
Okay.
to develop what he calls linguistic intelligence.
So instead of getting bogged down in the technicalities of grammar rules,
Right.
he's suggesting a more intuitive approach.
Yeah.
Almost like how children learn language.
Yeah.
They absorb patterns and structures through repeated exposure
Totally.
without necessarily dissecting the grammatical rules behind them.
It's like we learn our mother tongue.
Exactly.
We didn't learn grammar first.
Right.
We just learned by listening and repeating.
Right.
And what I love is how this ties back to the whole PPIT technique.
Oh, yeah. How so?
It's not about being a perfect grammarian.
Yeah.
It's about having the confidence to speak, thinking clearly, and connecting with your audience.
It seems like he's emphasizing a holistic approach to communication.
Clearly.
Where grammar is just one piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
Fluency, clarity of thought, and genuine connection with the audience.
Yeah.
Those are equally important, if not more so.
Absolutely. And this idea of learning through immersion really resonated with me.
Okay.
He answered another question about building vocabulary,
All right.
and he didn't recommend memorizing lists of words.
Yeah, that never works.
Right.
Yeah.
Instead, he encouraged people to really pay attention to how words are used in context.
So it's not just about knowing the definition of a word,
Right.
but understanding its nuances, how it's used in different situations.
Exactly. And he had some really practical tips, like he suggested watching debates
Oh, interesting.
and paying attention to the language used,
Okay.
the word choices, the phrasing, everything.
Mm-hmm.
He even said you could use tools like Google Assistant to remind you of new words you encounter.
It's all about actively engaging with language,
Yes.
not just passively consuming it.
Yeah.
And I think that's a valuable lesson for anyone who wants to improve their communication skills,
Totally.
whether they're speaking to a crowd or just having a conversation with a friend.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
As we're talking about this,
Yeah.
I'm realizing there's another question he answered that really stuck with me.
What was that?
Someone asked about overcoming the fear of not being able to form sentences,
Ugh, man.
which, let's be honest,
Yeah.
is a pretty common fear
It's a very relatable fear.
when it comes to speaking off the cuff.
I think we've all experienced that moment of panic where your mind goes blank and you're just struggling to string together a coherent sentence,
Totally.
especially when you're feeling under pressure.
And what's so interesting is that he actually shared that he struggled with that exact same issue himself.
Oh, wow, really?
He had to switch to speaking English full time.
I had no idea.
And he said that's how he ended up improving.
Wow, that's really inspiring to hear
Yeah.
that even someone who's now such a skilled communicator
Right.
had to overcome those same challenges.
Makes it seem so much more attainable for the rest of us.
Exactly.
It's a good reminder that even the most eloquent speakers,
Yeah,
they had to start somewhere.
right.
And that fluency and confidence come with practice and perseverance.
It reinforces the idea that effective communication isn't about inherent talent or perfection. It's about effort, dedication, a willingness to learn and grow.
So for our listener who might be feeling discouraged or intimidated by the thought of speaking off the cuff,
Yeah.
I think his personal experience offers a really powerful message.
What's that?
You can absolutely improve your communication skills with consistent effort and practice.
And perhaps even more importantly,
Yeah,
it's okay to stumble and make mistakes along the way.
totally.
That's all part of the learning process.
So maybe the takeaway here is that instead of focusing on trying to be perfect,
Yeah.
We should focus on being authentic, engaging with language actively,
Right.
and just putting ourselves out there, even if it feels a bit uncomfortable at first.
And speaking of discomfort,
Oh, yeah.
I think it's worth circling back to his point about the importance of effort.
Yes.
He was very clear that becoming a good communicator doesn't happen overnight.
He definitely didn't sugarcoat it.
No.
I remember him saying something like, if you are hesitant of working hard, I can't help you, friends.
It's a blunt statement, but it underlines a crucial point.
Yeah.
There's no magic formula for becoming a skilled communicator.
Right.
It takes consistent effort practice and a willingness to step outside of your comfort zone.
Absolutely. And, you know, as we're wrapping up this part of our deep dive, it strikes me that there's this common thread running through all of his advice.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
From the PPIT technique to his thoughts on grammar and language learning.
What are you thinking?
Well, it seems like he's emphasizing that effective communication is not just about the technical aspects.
Yeah.
It's about mindset, attitude, and a genuine desire to connect with your audience.
That's a great observation.
Yeah.
And I think it's a powerful takeaway for our listener.
Yeah.
It's not about mastering a set of rules or techniques.
Right.
It's about cultivating a mindset of curiosity engagement and a willingness to put in the effort to develop your communication skills.
It really does seem like he's challenging us to see communication differently, to move beyond just those technical skills.
Yeah. And that brings us to a crucial point that he keeps reiterating.
Okay.
Simple doesn't necessarily mean easy.
Right.
Understanding these concepts is one thing.
Yeah.
But actually putting them into practice, that takes real effort.
It's like practice makes progress, right?
Exactly.
You're not going to become a confident and articulate speaker overnight.
Right.
But by consistently using techniques like PPIT and really working on expressing your authentic voice, you can absolutely make strides.
And he doesn't shy away from that.
He doesn't.
He's very straightforward about the work involved.
He is.
Even saying, you know, if you're hesitant of working hard, I can't help you, friends.
He definitely does not sugarcoat it.
No, he does not.
But I appreciate his honesty.
Me too.
It sets realistic expectations, but it also emphasizes that the rewards are well worth the effort.
Exactly. And he backs it up with practical advice.
Oh, yeah.
Remember his tip about building vocabulary?
Yeah.
He encourages immersing yourself in diverse language sources, watching debates, paying attention to phrases and word choices, and actively incorporating those into your own speaking.
He even suggested using tools like Google Assistant to remind you of new words you come across.
Exactly. It's all about finding ways to make learning an active and engaging process.
And that's a key takeaway for me from this deep dive.
What's that?
It's not about some magic bullet or shortcut.
Yeah.
It's about finding methods that resonate with you, embracing continuous learning.
Absolutely.
And most importantly, finding joy in developing your communication skills.
Couldn't agree more.
So as we wrap up,
we'll
leave you with this final thought.
Okay.
What small step can you take today to put these insights into action?
Yeah.
Maybe jot down the PPIT structure, try it out in a low-stakes situation.
Good idea.
Or consciously use a new word you learned today.
Love it.
Remember, every journey starts with a single step.
That's a great note to end on.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
We'll see you next time.